I mean, obviously it sucks. No playoffs for us. For 2 years in a row since 2020, and honestly, going into the year, I really thought we had a good shot. Some good upside. Bring Clowney back for the pass rush. Um, I felt really strong with Greg Newsome. Complimenting Denzel Ward for our DBs. Obviously, the quarterback situation though is what's going to triumph all that because when your backup quarterbacks in. I know Brissett is a top three backup in the league. Really, to be honest, I mean, people are considering Garoppolo and Purdy the backup, and look how they've been for being a backup to Trey Lance. But I would definitely say at least top five. We did have a top five backup. I feel like we had a chance. We lost to the Chargers by two. We lost to the Ravens barely back in week whatever, 6, 7, or 8. We literally lost to the Bills only by 8. I mean, shoulda, woulda, coulda, I get it. There is no excuse. The Browns, we did not make it. And fair and square. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and, say, oh, the suspension, oh, this. We knew of the suspension. We knew as a Browns fan community, like, we knew that going into the year, we can't expect a whole lot. Yeah, you could expect playoffs still, but I'm not going to sit there and say, oh my God, the Browns absolutely suck. I will say we did perform under expectations, but not by a landslide. I think the AFC is stacked. I think even when Lamar is healthy, the Ravens and the Bengals are just still up there as teams, and the Browns very well could not even be the best team in the division. I mean, even with Watson, even with the run game, Chubb, even with Cooper and Garrett, Ward, whatever, like, I still think the Bengals are right there, if not better than us, based on last year going to the Super Bowl and this year win division. And, even the Ravens with Lamar beating us this year, yeah, it was with Brissett, but still they are up there. Right now you got, Roquan Smith and the way Humphrey plays, whatever, and, the way Kyle Hamilton's playing, right, that rookie and all that stuff. So what it really comes down to, though, is I feel like the Cleveland Browns, we're going to go into next year. We have a full year with Deshaun Watson, and we got 4 years left with him, whatever. I understand that we did give up 3 first-round picks for him or whatever, but I really feel like, honestly, the Browns, if we keep Kareem Hunt, we still have 2 good running backs, whatever. We got the offensive line besides maybe a center. I feel like losing our center, Treader, this year, and Nick Harris, who got hurt in the preseason. We did have to have a third string center this year. But, I mean, in general, like, Nick Harris comes back. I think we'll be okay. I still love Njoku. Yeah, he's a little bit inconsistent, but he makes catches like this, but then he'll drop this. So, like, why are you catching an Odell ball, but then you're dropping this? So I like how he can, I love his ceiling. Like, the dude is a baller. Hurdles, catches like this, whatever, diving catches, acrobatic catches. But you gotta be a little bit more consistent to really be a top 10 tight end. And I think he's paid top 10. He's not getting top 10 like stats and stuff. I don't mind Njoku, but I don't want to get rid of him. I feel like if we get a replacement, Njoku will be better. So he has speed, he has upside, he has hops, he can jump high. Keep him, he's athletic, whatever. I really feel like one more receiver, though, is what I want to see. I really love DPJ, Donovan Peoples-Jones. I love Amari Cooper. Getting Amari Cooper for a 5th-round pick, I know he costs $20 million a year, but Cooper has been a number 1 receiver and probably the only number 1 receiver we've had since maybe Josh Gordon. Yeah, we had Odell and Landry, but they weren't giving us those wide receiver consistent numbers like Cooper has been for us. He's literally just been so consistent for us. He's on the field all the time, not injury prone, whatever. We still have him for 2 more years, so Watson for 4 more years. So I don't know. I think overall the Cleveland Browns offense, you add a receiver to go with DPJ and Cooper. It's easier said than done, whether we pay for it in the free agency, whatever. we really didn't do a whole lot in the off season and to the trade deadline. Browns have some salary cap. Now we're losing Clowney. That's 10 million we're gonna save plus. Like we're gonna have some salary cap to spend. Now whether we get a pass rusher to replace Clowney or we somehow draft one late in the rounds, do whatever. But I really feel like the Browns were gonna use that money in a salary cap for getting a pass rusher to complement Garrett and then a receiver to complement Cooper and DPJ and Watson. And the running backs are fine. Pretty much give Cade York a chance, the kicker. The guy made a 56 some yard or maybe 58, whatever, 59, whatever it was. Late 50s, bro, high 50s versus the Panthers to win week 1. I mean, on the road. Like, if you can make that kick, you've already shown me that you have good upside. He wasn't consistent. He was not consistent, but it's kind of like Njoku. He has that ceiling. So keep him. That's my thing on special teams, okay? Defensively, bro, corners always get effing hurt, dude. Greedy is not that great, okay? I do love Newsome and Ward, though, but give Greedy maybe one more year, but I'm pretty sure he's coming up now. Maybe I actually don't even know, to be honest, okay? It's either his third or fourth year, but I mean, he literally, like, I don't know how I feel about him, bro, but I don't know, bro. Like, I don't want to talk about the Browns the whole video. I want to go to the Steelers now. So in general, my big additions are we need help for the DTs, we need help for the pass rush for getting rid of Clowney, and then a receiver. Okay. Linebackers too, because Deion Jones is not gonna get it done. So the Browns, we have some holes. Every team has holes. I mean, it's just what it is. We got to fill those holes. And I feel like for the Browns talk, next year, if we suck, unless Watson gets hurt in the preseason or Chubb, there's no excuse. If we suck next year, like no playoffs, we suck. This year, we did suck, but I feel like if Watson plays the whole year, we're at least getting that 7 seed instead of the Dolphins. And we're probably going to go 9-8 or better. I just feel like next year is more of a fair assessment. This year, it was a down year, but I'm not going to sit there and go, wow, I'm so shocked. No playoffs, right? Going to Pittsburgh Steelers, bro, I'm not going to sit there and laugh in your faces. You guys came back from a 2-6 season. You almost make, the playoffs or whatever. It's very respectable. Mike Tomlin has a winning record, and his streak continues for not having a losing record as a head coach for the last, 14 amount of years, whatever. I respect Pittsburgh. Obviously I, hate them on the field, but anytime outside of the field, we're all shaking hands and we're all, having laughs because I don't know about laughs, but definitely the respect's there. I feel like Pittsburgh, they have a lot of Hall of Famers, obviously, 6 Super Bowls. They're just a phenomenal franchise, and you got to respect them. They never die. They always find a way to play in games or whatever. And I mean, yeah, I'm happy that they didn't make it or whatever, but I'm not going to sit there and rub it in their faces. I mean, they did have a better season than us. They did split the series versus us. There's always a debate back in week 3 when we won whatever. We had no Deshaun Watson, but they had no TJ Watt. Having no TJ Watt is definitely worse because again, Brissett is still decent, but again, it's still not Watson. And then for no TJ Watt, that pretty much is their defense besides Minka and Cam Hayward. So I don't know, bro. I mean, Pittsburgh fans, it was satisfying seeing you not in the playoffs, but at the same point, at the end of the day, you can't really say that you really, really, really deserved it. I mean, you needed a lot of help from weeks 16, 17, 18, and literally it almost came true. So honestly, dude, give yourself a pat on the back though, because it was a really fun finish for you guys, and it was really a climatic finish. Like, you guys should really look at this season with success because you literally had a fun showing for yourselves, especially with the up and down of Trubisky, and then you go to Pickett and whatever, right? So Kenny Pickett clearly is your future. I think he is defying all odds for being that small midget quarterback, small hands archetype with his physical sense. But I really think he'll get it done. Obviously, the Pickens Deontay duo is really good, definitely better than Cooper and DPJ right now. So even Najee Harris is really good. So honestly, man, you get some offensive line, you maybe get a solid corner or two, and you guys are going to be easily in contention for first place next year, let alone definitely wild card contention. So, yeah, you didn't make it, Pittsburgh, whatever, but I mean, at the end of the day, you should be keeping your head high because just like us, next season, even for the Ravens, as long as I keep Lamar, I really see them, all four of us in the AFC North, really having like a show. Like, every team has its own case. Bengals, obvious reasons. Super Bowl last year, division this year. Ravens, I feel like even with Lamar being out the last 6 weeks, they still have a playoff spot. They're winning close games, whatever. And then the Browns, yeah, we didn't make it this year, but we have Watson next year for the full year. I love it. And then Pittsburgh, they literally had like Watt out half the year. And look, like, see what I'm saying? So, and they literally missed it by a half game. So I think going into next year, the most underrated thing to think about is the Browns have no draft picks for the next 3 years for first rounders. Having no first round pick sucks. Obviously it sucks. And I feel like I would rather have a 26-year-old quarterback, though, in Watson than 3 first round picks, because if you have a first round pick, you have a quarterback. Look at Trey Lance, like almost what a bust he is. Obviously look at Mayfield. He wasn't worth the first overall pick. Like, there's just so many quarterbacks. Daniel Jones for a top 10 pick. Like, he's not the worst quarterback. He's not bottom 5 anymore, really. But was he worth the number 6 pick or whatever, or number 8, whatever? Like, top 10? No. Like, first round picks, like, they're not even a guarantee to be great. Deshaun Watson, we already know he has the capability. I'm not saying he's great right now. I think he's pretty good, but I think he has the ability to be great. And he's not like he's Russell Wilson, 33 years old, whatever. Like, he's 26. Like, so I would rather give up 3 first round picks. You have a quarterback for sure for 4 more years locked up, and someone who I think is a leader. And putting the whole criminal thing behind him, I really feel like he has, like, given that he was innocent, which we have to trust his word because there wasn't evidence to prove he was guilty enough, I really feel like he has something to play for. Maybe these females did screw him over. Maybe he was innocent. And going into these next 4 years, he's going to be playing like, look, you got this wrong. America, world, you got this wrong. Like, I'm going to prove them wrong. And he still has so much to prove on and off the field. So I like that about him. I like when someone has to prove something. It gives you something more to play for, right? So that's kind of all I got to say, honestly. And then the last thing is the Browns did get 4th place in the division. It's more for pride. Honestly, dude, I know it's a little bit embarrassing being last place or whatever, but again, if we're last place next season with Watson, the full season, then I would say it's very cringe. This year, I would say with the with Brissett for 11 games, whatever, you can't really say you didn't see that coming. Like, everyone said Pittsburgh or Cleveland. If you said Bengals last place, then you were just stupid. Ravens, they could have got it, but they're still a pretty strong team, right? And so it's like, dude, like, especially with the addition of Marcus Williams. But, I mean, it's like, dude, yeah, I don't know, man. That's kind of that, right? So getting last place really makes it easier for our schedule next year. We play the last place team in the NFC North, which is going to be the Chicago Bears, which is a lot easier than the Vikings, Packers, or the Lions. So we play the Bears now, which is easier for our schedule, whereas other teams play other teams in our division. We literally play the Jets, which their quarterback is still like, yeah, it's probably gonna be Mike White, whatever, next year, but I'd rather play the Jets than the Bills, than the Pats, who seem to always beat us. I'd rather play that than the Dolphins with a healthy Tua next year and Tyreek Hill and Waddle and Gesicki and the crew. So that last place schedule is, I think, really beneficial, right? And then last but not least, in the AFC West, getting last place, we play the Broncos, which is a lot easier than the Chiefs. The Raiders could be easier next year, depending on their quarterback than the Broncos, but I would definitely rather play the Broncos than the Chargers or the Chiefs for sure. So Herbert has our number. So 2-0 versus us. So getting last place will hopefully really help us. Okay? Even though it's only 3 games difference, those 3 games are easier opponents than tougher opponents. So yeah. So overall, Browns, I'm going to give it a overall, sadly, still a bad year, but I'm not going to sit there and say I didn't see it coming. So it's been a very weird year, the weirdest year I've ever had in 20. Next week's my birthday here. 22 years living this earth, bro. I have never had a weirder year. You went into the year thinking, what's going to happen with Watson? What's it? Like, our brain was just like, how can you even go into expectations? So the fact that we even had a somewhat serious competitive thing, I'm very content. And I think the Amari Cooper trade is probably my favorite thing in the offseason, actually. That and Watson's both out there because getting Amari Cooper is very, very cool. Like, I really love having him on my team, whatever. A wide receiver 1, finally. It's awesome. And we're going to go from there. Tell me how your team did. Tell me your reaction to your team. And if your team in the playoffs, good luck. We'll go from there. Peace.